winning if I get elected, that you may get bored with winning.
Your Voice Radio. Your Voice Radio.
I humbly and gratefully accept your nomination for the presidency of the United States.
The silent majority is silent no more.
These are people who work hard but no longer have a voice. I am your voice.
Your Voice Radio. Your Voice Radio.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Bill Mitchell with Your Voice Radio. Thank you for joining us on our Friday night, February 3rd edition. This is our fifth day on rsbn.tv, and we just want to say thanks again for the opportunity to work with RSBN. They were one of the biggest contributors to the Trump campaign in new media during the election cycle. They were broadcasting all of the Trump rallies, and people used to love to tune into RSBN. That was always a place you went because they would pan the crowd. You know, they would do a good job. And we really loved them for what they did there. And now they've invited us to be on their show Monday through Friday at 7 p.m. So we're really excited to be here, and we thank everybody who's been listening to us. Those who have come over from other areas to listen to us elsewhere and are now listening here, and also those who are brand new. If you like the show, please tell friends. You know, if everybody that likes the show and listens now just tells two friends, that triples our audience overnight. And the bigger we grow, the bigger our voice becomes, and the bigger your voice becomes. And we called the show Your Voice Radio because it's all about your voice. We have a great crew tonight. This is our roundtable night. That means it's sort of a verbal scrum. We get 4, 5, 6 people on here, and I try to make sure everybody gets a chance to talk. So that's my job. That's my challenge. First of all, we've got Ginger McQueen. She comes from about an hour west of Chicago. How are you, Ginger?
I'm doing fantastic.
Yeah, fantastic. Very good. We also have Carrie Kelman from Dallas, Texas. How are you tonight, Carrie?
Not tired of winning yet, Bill. How are you?
Not tired of winning yet. I know. Me neither. Me neither. Next, we have Carrie Smith from Cincinnati, Ohio. Carrie, how are you tonight?
I'm doing great, and I'd also like to thank RSBN for having us on. I think it's great.
It's fantastic. We really love it. Yeah, we love being here. Last but not least, we have Ash from Reddit and the Donald. How are you, Ash?
Doing great. I also like RSB, and we carried all the Trump rallies on the Donald, and they did a fantastic job all through the election.
Yeah, it's great. I tell you what, great things are coming. As a matter of fact, I have just heard from some sources there's a reasonably good chance that I'll be able to get press credentials at CPAC. So I'll be going to CPAC and reporting for the show, be doing some periscopes, maybe even do a show from there. So that'd be great. Press credentials mean you get all the fancy, backstage sort of access to everything. So that should be really great if that works out. Crossing fingers, find out on Monday. So we're hoping that's going to work out. Yay!
Yay.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let me ask everybody what's been on their minds this week. What's most impressed you? This has been an amazing week for Trump. He's coming through with all of his promises. We've seen the left continue to go completely out of their minds with the stuff like the Berkeley protests and, attacks on Milo as a white supremacist, which literally is the biggest joke in the world. I mean, the media has just gotten to the point, and Democrats have just gotten to the point where they are just flat out making stuff up. I mean, that's all they got left. The truth can't work for them ever anymore. And so they're just making stuff up. How was your week, Ginger? What did you think?
Oh, it's been fantastic to watch this. I think Trump redefines bull in a china shop. All of these precious little plates, bam, they're getting tossed to the floor. Yeah. And to see him to maintain this pace consistently for the last few days is just mind-boggling to me. And I am so happy that he is truly following through, and people are really saying that these weren't just campaign promises like every other politician. So it's been so encouraging. It's been a wonderful week of progress, and I look forward to the coming week.
Yeah, absolutely. Me too as well. Carrie, how's your week been? What are you looking at?
Oh, I've been following the craziness in UC Berkeley regarding Milo. Also, if you were listening to Wednesday's broadcast, I went to the Cincinnati City Hall to protest so that the mayor can hear my voice about my feelings of Cincinnati being a sanctuary city. And this was leading up to them voting on whether or not they were going to officially be a sanctuary city. And the very next day after we reported that, they did vote. And we are now officially a sanctuary city by a vote of 6-2. Both John Cranley and, surprisingly, a man, one of the voters was Kevin Flynn, who I always knew him to be very conservative. I actually know his family. They're all conservative. They've come from a very long line of conservative families. I have no idea what he was thinking. I'm going to reach out to him and see what in the world his rationale was for that. So a little bit disappointment there, but very exciting week so far for me.
Yeah, it's amazing. Now, does Cincinnati get much federal funding at all?
Well, one of the things that a lot of people don't realize this, but one of the biggest major thoroughfares for trucking traffic is going across the Ohio River right there in Cincinnati. And we have the Brent Spence Bridge here, which is extremely old, totally antiquated, out of date, falling apart. There's rust exposed all over it. And it's considered one of the most dangerous bridges in the entire country. And it's up for being replaced, and it's supposed to be like $1 billion to replace this thing. Wow. Much of that will be federal funding. Everybody thinks that is going to be on the chopping block if federal funding gets cut because of it being a sanctuary city. I don't see that. The problem is the Brent Spence Bridge has too many national implications for that being antiquated. So I don't think that they're going to punish the entire country because Cincinnati decided to be a sanctuary city. I think that they're going to hold funding in other places, but I think that they're going to replace that bridge.
Yeah, I just don't get becoming a sanctuary city after Trump has thrown down the gauntlet on what he's going to do. excuse me, on immigration. It doesn't make any sense to me. It's like buying a ticket on the Titanic after
Trump
it crashed.
Trump lost Hamilton County, which is the county that Cincinnati is in, largely because of the Democrat population within the city limits.
Yeah.
And John Cranley's constituency is only those that live within the city limits, and I think he's just pandering to them. And also, I believe that now this is kind of conspiratorial, so everybody put their tinfoil hats on for this one. I think there's a grand conspiracy nationwide amongst Democrats to try to kind of de facto gerrymander by bringing in refugees, illegal aliens, and whoever in order to up the population of possible Democrat voters. And I think that it was told to John Cranley that he'll get some sort of a kickback if he go ahead and make it a sanctuary city. That way there's a possibility, or an increased possibility, of Democrats winning general elections for presidency in the future if John Cranley goes through with that. So I think there may be some corruption involved there. It makes sense to me, and that's my thoughts on it.
Now, look, clear me up here. Trump is talking about cutting off funding to these guys, but can't they just declare sanctuary cities illegal and arrest any officials that impose a sanctuary city? It is unconstitutional.
I asked the city officials this very question because they all came up and voiced their opposition to it. As you may or may not know, our Treasury Secretary, Josh Mandel, came up and gave his opposition in Cincinnati. And so when I asked these people this very question, I got what I thought I was going to get as an answer. I said, okay, you guys are saying that you don't agree with this. Is there anything other than peer pressure to prevent this from happening? And they said, no, there is no peer pressure. And of course, there's an election coming up. And so they're hoping that they could beat him in an election. The problem is that we're such a Democrat city.
Right.
It's really a sad thing that we may have to just deal with it. And I did talk to a lawyer who's involved with all the politics who said that there could be a class action lawsuit coming down on behalf of the citizens of the city against the mayor, and we'll see where that goes. I'll definitely keep you up to date on that if the ball gets rolling for that. I think that'll be kind of an interesting civics lesson for everybody to see what happens with that.
Great. Yeah, a verified Twitter person. Everybody knows what that is. It means you got the blue check. Verified Twitter person basically just reached out to me and said, "Hey, we're experts on sanctuary cities, and we'd like to come on the show." And I'm like, "Great!" I mean, they've written books and all this stuff. So we're going to have them on next week to really have an explanation, because as you may have guessed from my questions, I'm not an expert on this. So, we're going to get people to know exactly how much everybody's spending, what's going to happen when the federal funds get cut off, really an in-depth on sanctuary cities, because this is an important subject. I mean, the Democrats are doing so much that's almost Civil War type stuff. That it's just crazy.
I'd like to add one last thing too. Yeah. I consider this backpedaling. They call it clarification, but just today they came out and said all it means for us in Cincinnati to be a sanctuary city is that we are not telling our local law enforcement individuals to enforce federal law. That they'll do all the other laws that are here in Cincinnati, but if a federal law is known to be broken as far as immigration is concerned, specifically immigration, that it's not our job to do anything about it. And that's what they're saying. So it's kind of a backpedaling. It's not so much that, hey, you're an illegal immigrant, so you have free reign to do whatever you want. It's more like hey, we're just doing our job. We don't have to do the federal government's job.
It's still lame because they're still part of the country. They are part of the United States of America, right? They haven't decided.
And it adversely affects not just the city, but the whole country. But it does adversely affect the city, especially when you give the word to the entire world that we're a sanctuary city. Now, all of a sudden, you're going to have people who maybe they were scared to come to America. Yeah. Now they're gonna come here knowing that Cincinnati is the place to go. So that's a problem.
Yeah, maybe some of those illegals think it's too damn cold up there.
I hope.
It's like, are you going to go to the sanctuary city in Cincinnati? Hell no. I'm going to.
They have great chili, though.
They have great chili. Yes. They got great chili. They got to, because it's so cold up there. Fantastic. Well, Carrie Kellerman from Dallas, Texas. What's the latest with you, my friend?
Well, I'm kind of interested in the entertainment industry, and they've kind of got themselves into a pickle because they've got these stars that keep talking smack to the new president, and yet they're trying to sell tickets to those of us who voted for him. So they're kind of in a quandary, and I was reading an article last night about the Academy Awards coming up. You've got Jimmy Kimmel, who's supposed to host this thing, and he has been notoriously nasty to Donald Trump. He was very favorable to Hillary. You remember she went on the show and opened a jar of pickles, and yet he had Donald Trump read a Dr. Seuss-style book about winners aren't losers, losers aren't winners, and Trump just, in good natured, kind of chuckled along with it and even shot a picture of him reading it to his little granddaughter on the airplane. Yeah. But you've got this nasty, nasty tone coming out of Hollywood. I mean, really nasty. We've got some new ones. We've got Sarah Silverman. We got Deborah Messing, who was tweeting out support for the rioters in Berkeley. Yeah. Now we've got Robert De Niro on The View today, encouraging people, saying he wants to hit Donald Trump in the face on television. I don't know where they go from here. They are alienating those of us they need to sell tickets to. But with the Academy Awards, you've got the show. There's even talk about possibly canceling the Academy Awards, the Oscars, possibly. Mm-hmm. Their excuse would be in deference to an Iranian filmmaker, but I really think they're worried about their ratings. And they're worried about these stars that are chomping at the bit to use that platform to make their views known, but at the same time not alienate half the country. So they're really, really in a hard spot. But let me tell you about this UC Berkeley thing and these stars tweeting out things like this. This UC Berkeley takes a lot of money in federal tax dollars. In fact, a 2015 audit shows that UC Berkeley misused $2 million taxpayer dollars on staff travel and booze. So this is the kind of behavior we're getting from UC Berkeley.
Mostly booze, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But here's the thing. I don't quite their message is getting muddled. It's getting really muddled because when we were in D.C., for inauguration, you guys tell me, what was the franchise that notoriously got damaged in the DC riots? Remember?
You tell us who, what?
The Starbucks.
Oh, yeah.
So in DC, the Starbucks gets smashed, and in Berkeley, the same thing. A Starbucks gets smashed. Didn't Howard Schultz, the CEO, come out and say he wanted to hire 10,000 refugees?
Right.
For Starbucks? I mean, isn't this the guy that represents their point of view? Why are they damaging that property in particular? So they're really messing around with their message. The other thing that middle America looks at when they see these rioters marching through the streets and they've all got their faces covered, they're thinking to themselves, at least I am, if these rioters really think that they're on the right side of the argument, then why are they hiding their faces?
Yeah, well, I think, I think we need to pass a law that if you are at a protest and your face is covered, that's a felony. That you cannot be at a protest with your identity hidden because you're obviously up to no good. That should be a felony. That should be a prison term that you get, a felony on your record if you appear, because that would, all the people that are causing the burning and the beating up with poles and sticks and all this stuff and this wild violence, they're all have their faces covered. So why even let them do that? Why even let them do that? So.
Well, I just say in public in general, I don't really see a reason for covering your face unless you're up to nefarious activities.
Yeah.
But I will tell you this, we've got a guy who's fighting back. Donald Trump is in that Oval Office, and he's going to look at you, and when he does, he's going to put you in one of two columns. Either you're someone that can be won over, or you're going to be someone that needs to be run over, and it's your choice.
That's true. Won over or run over. That's clever, Carrie.
It is.
Can I use that? Do I have to pay you a royalty if I use that on Twitter?
No,
I like that one.
Take it. Go right ahead.
That. Fantastic. Well, last but not least, we have Ash. He is here from the Donald over at Reddit. Ash, how are you been?
Been doing great, Bill. We've been following the riots as well, and I couldn't agree with you guys more about not being able to cover your faces, at these protests because they're obviously up to no good. We had the one at Berkeley and Gavin the next day in New York. I believe he got pepper sprayed, and they're planning another protest, I guess, down at Mar-a-Lago this weekend. I'm seeing flash across Fox News right now.
Right.
Oh.
And, I mean, it's just ridiculous. And it kind of makes you wonder where the funding's coming from. You see kind of like a revitalization of CTR. And, I don't know, is that the Soros Foundation or who is that, really providing those kind of
I heard it was Soros,
masked protesters.
Yeah. It's weird because, I suggested on Twitter that maybe George Soros is like a double deep, super undercover Republican double operative guy. Because I
think he's the real life Dr. Evil.
I don't know. But here's the thing I don't understand is that everything he does and spends money on hurts the Democrats and helps Trump. Is he really secretly a double agent Republican, or is he the dumbest person in the history of Earth? I don't understand. It's very strange to me.
I guess he lost $1 billion on election day because he was betting against Trump. So I guess we can take a little solace in that.
Right, exactly. Well, now you guys over at Reddit have been under attack, haven't you?
Oh, constantly. It's a constant barrage. It's a reflection of the leftist hysteria over the election of Donald Trump, and we get bombarded. We get death threats. I tweeted that out this week. It's just absolutely ridiculous. That coupled with the censorship issues that we face online, which not just us, but various websites that support, Republican candidates face. And I think that something should be done about it. Yeah.
Yeah. So last time we talked, you were talking about spinning off something new. Have you continued with that?
We are moving forward with the new right that should be up here pretty soon. Just kind of getting our ducks in a row. We didn't expect Trump to hit the ground running like he has, which is, to our chagrin. That's great. So just can't keep up with his whirlwind pace. I guess that's what happens when you only sleep 4 hours a night. So I think that must work out.
I get, I'm only 25 and I get tired just watching him. This is a genetic defect, folks, by the way, my hair. Yeah. 25. No, really not.
I like what Anthony Cumia tweeted out about it. He said that after witnessing only, I think at the time it was a week of a Trump presidency, it made him wonder what all the other presidents were busy doing, because apparently they were doing nothing because how much he got accomplished in a short amount of time.
Yeah, I can see at the end of Trump's first 100 days, he looks at his cabinet and says, Well, guys, what should we do for the rest of the 4 years? We already fixed it all.
Right.
It's crazy.
We actually had a Redditor make a joke that said, I think the biggest worry about a Trump presidency is that we get everything done so fast. We're like, what now? That's basically run out of things to do.
Well, here's the thing that amazes me is the Democrats are so desperate. Like I said, they're just basically making stuff up right now. And one of the things that has been the biggest recent lie from Berkeley, and that's been told in the last couple of days, is that Milo, who was speaking at Berkeley, is somehow a white supremacist. I mean, there is literally no evidence on any level that this could possibly be true. Not only that, but he has continually spoken out against white supremacy. And he says, this is not about race. This is about ideas and good ideas. It's not about the color of your skin. It's about the ideas going forward that can save America. He said that repetitively. And yet they're coming out, and CNN had an article saying that protests erupt in Berkeley against white supremacist Milo. Okay, you just made that up. And then today, the Lieutenant Governor of California, Gavin Newsom, called Milo a white supremacist. Let me read to you what it says here. It says, the Lieutenant Governor of California, Gavin Newsom, has released a statement offering lukewarm condemnation of the riots that prevented Milo's first event of the dangerous blank tour. Sorry, I can't say that word on our show because we're a G-rated show. But anyway, while smearing him as a white supremacist. Newsom, who has launched a campaign for governor in California in 2018, said in a statement that people experienced both extremes at UC Berkeley's campus last night, from the racism and misogyny of the fly-by-night provocateur and white supremacist Milo. Damn it, that is a lie! That is a flat-out, every statement of that, I'm sorry, is a complete lie. Gavin Newsom, you are a damned liar. You're the Lieutenant Governor of California. You got on camera and you are a liar. I think Milo should sue you for every penny you've ever made and ever will make in your life. You cannot prove that Milo is a white supremacist. You cannot prove that he is misogynist. You cannot prove that he is any of those things. This is a lie, and this is why Democrats are losing. This is why you lost the White House, you lost the Senate, you lost the House, you lost 3/4 almost of state houses. You're going to lose the Supreme Court. You're going to lose federal judgeships. You are being wiped off the political map. You know why? Because you are liars, and we're tired of you lying to us. Now, I usually don't get this excited, but this stuff pisses me off. If you ever want to say, Mitch is so cool, he never gets pissed off. Well, you just saw it. That's Mitch pissed off. You don't want to see it too often, but that was it. It just eats at me that they get out there in the media, CNN, oh yes, they nod their head, and CNN and Hollywood, oh yes, it's all so horrible. And they're just making it up. And people are not stupid. We get it. Go ahead, Carrie.
You know what, Bill? Trump did mention this during the primaries when he was talking about Dan Scavino, who was, you remember the star? And they said it was a Jewish star, and it was a 6-pointed star, and they said it was an anti-Semitic symbol and all this other kind of stuff. And Trump mentioned, he was talking to a dinner, and he said, you know what, I think we're going to have to revisit these libel laws. We need to strengthen these. There are libel laws on the books, but they need to be strengthened. And I think that this is the time, and this is the administration to use them. The media, I don't get super upset about it, Bill, but I'll tell you why. Because the media is hurting themselves when they lie. Right. What they're doing is they're making the American public, it's like the boy who cried wolf. If you keep faking wolf over and over and over again, pretty soon your credibility is completely shot. The American people, if they were still powerful, Bill, we would have Hillary Clinton as president right now, and we don't. Right. Why? Because the American people stopped believing the media. Right. We don't. They're losing their influence. This is why they're getting more and more shrill. Is because they know their influence and they know the ability to make the American people believe what they say is circling the drain. Yep. And so I don't get super upset about it because they're the ones that are getting hurt ultimately about it. Yeah. And they've turned the American people into a group of fact checkers. The reason we even exist, the reason I am a person on the radio right now with you is because I don't think they're doing a great job, and I think I can do a better job of it. And so do you, and that's why we're here, because we are doing a better job of it. We're telling the truth.
That's because everyone here is definitely doing a great job of countering fake news, like, CNN and all that. It's unbelievable. I mean, the fake stories, and they have to go back and apologize to Trump, and so all that. It's just amazing to me, and how they smear people, based in identity politics, like, Milo. I mean, again, not one shred of evidence. They can go out and defame him like that publicly. It's just a shame. It's a tragedy of the left.
That's part of the thing, too, though, Ash, is that because you are smearing Milo with these esoteric terms that don't have a concrete, you can't dispute it concretely. They're trying to tell us what's in Milo's heart and what's in his mind. How does somebody like Milo defeat that? Well, you're going to have to do it legally, or these people aren't going to be quiet. But this is remarkable. The thing. Where do you go to get your good reputation back when somebody smears it like that?
Well,
Milo's been referred to as a Nazi and all that, which, I mean, had nothing to do with anything he's ever said, but they use that as the ultimate smear word, because that's supposed to be that's it. Your argument's null and void.
Well, they've got about 10 sets of keys on their keyboard. They've got racist, Islamophobe, misogynist. They've got about 10 different keys, and they're playing the same tune with it over and over again. And the American people are tuning it out.
Yeah, they hit them all at the same time.
It's wearing out. We don't believe it anymore.
Yeah.
But don't you think part of the emotional reaction that we have to seeing him be called those names and being labeled in that way is that it reflects on us too? We're all getting put in those same little boxes by these same people that, we're the deplorables. So I think that it's normal to have that kind of emotional reaction. It angers me so much. I don't know Milo. I've never met him. But when I was reading the stories about him and what was being said and what happened at Berkeley, I was so angry. Mm-hmm. And I think that's why. It's because that's how they see us. We know what he represents. But how he's being characterized in the media is completely different.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And that's unfortunate. But, I think that's maybe part of why that we get so upset.
Well, but don't feel sad for Milo, because he got a press. His book is now at the top of Amazon.
Yeah.
I mean, he's getting all kinds of media attention over this. People that wouldn't normally know who he is. And let me tell you who else is probably paying attention to this is those UC Berkeley students. Because now all of a sudden you have this media outcry over, better not listen to that guy. Well, what would you do if you were a college student? You'd want to listen to that guy. They've just shot themselves in their own foot.
Yeah, well, they're good at that.
Well, the violence is crazy, too. They were throwing bricks in New York, last night. I guess it's a good thing for us that they're better at rioting than they are at voting.
Yeah,
because
they're very good at turning out.
That's about the truth.
Yeah, if these people had turned out for Hillary's rallies, maybe she would have won.
Yeah, it's true.
I mean, yeah, they could have covered up the green screen.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Well, let me go on and say some of the stuff that Gavin Newsom, this joke of a lieutenant governor in California. Okay, I said it, dude, you're a joke, okay? He then went on to attack President Trump, who yesterday condemned the protests while threatening to cut the university's $350 million in federal funding, over half its budget. Newsom says President Trump's asinine threat to pull funding from Cal showed zero awareness of the real-world implications of a president's words and actions. What the hell would a liberal know about the real world anything? This is the problem with Hollywood. Hollywood lives in the world of make-believe, and that's the problem, because they don't switch out of make-believe mode when they start talking politics. They're still talking make-believe mode. Liberals deal in the world of what they wish was. Donald Trump deals in the world of what is. And the rest of us deal in the world of what is. He is solving real problems. He's not basing his political philosophy on some fantasy socialist nirvana dream that these liberals can't get out of their minds. They think this hippie nirvana lives and exists. It does not. You can't sit in a drum circle singing Kumbaya and smoking pot and become a great nation. You cannot do it. And yet they keep believing it. It is some bizarre psychosis stuck in their head that they think this nirvana exists. It doesn't. And Donald Trump is the answer to that. Donald Trump is about fixing real world problems with real solutions. Let me go on here. He says, President Trump is quick to attack American students, immigrants, women, the LGBT community. Really? When? When did he attack students? When did he attack women? When did he attack the LGBT community? He's been very supportive of the LGBT community. Once again, this guy Newsom is just making stuff up. Journalists and our international allies, but he's either too weak or too ignorant to stand up to white supremacists and others who spew hatred. Once again, saying that Milo is a white supremacist spewing hatred. He's not. This is what we're up against, folks. I tell you what, at this point, the Democrats are basically, you ever watch that Pirates of the Caribbean show where they run out of cannonballs and they start shooting, the silverware?
Silverware.
And that one guy gets a fork stuck in his wooden eye? Yeah, this is what the Democrats have got left. They're shooting the silverware at this point. They got nothing. I mean, Trump just unearthed a whole new stash of MX missiles he haven't even used yet, and the Democrats are down to the silverware. So, I had an interview today with Tokyo Broadcasting System. Now, why in the world would Tokyo? They sent a producer all the way from Japan just to interview me, and they called me and they're like, "Oh yeah, we're sending someone from Japan to interview you." I'm like, "Are you sure you got the right number?" Like, me? They're like, "Oh yeah." It's like, "You guys actually know who I am in Tokyo?" "Oh yeah, you're very big in Tokyo." No, I'm just kidding. That was awful. I apologize. That was a bad impersonation.
Big in Japan, Bill. Big in Japan.
Yeah, you're Godzilla to us. You're a huge person. Yeah, but seriously, yeah, they wanted to interview me and they want to see about the campaign and what we thought. And one of the things they thought was the most interesting was new media. They want to talk about new media and why we're getting away from what the old media says and the old lies. It was fascinating. About a 4-hour interview because everything I said had to be translated between the people because not everybody there spoke English. So if I was smart, I would have learned some Japanese today, but I didn't. They spoke it so fast I couldn't keep up. But that was a fascinating experience. I want to say thanks to those guys. And I apologize for my Godzilla joke. That was awful. But I'm very tall. I thought maybe that's what they thought. So. Very tall Godzilla. Okay, so anyway, well, what's this that we hear about Trump signing an executive order to roll back Dodd-Frank? I didn't get a chance to research that. I read this, the headline. Do you guys know anything about that? Don't everybody talk at once now.
I don't know if it's a complete examination. I don't know if he's getting ready of the whole thing, but I hear it's being gutted. I also read that he is preventing illegal immigrants from going on welfare. That was signed this morning as well.
Yeah, that'd be great. Actually, I've got a little article here on the Dodd-Frank. Let me just read this because this is important. President Donald Trump will sign an executive order Friday unraveling the 2010 Dodd-Frank financial reform. The move comes as part of a comprehensive plan to rescind regulations set in the wake of the financial crisis. The White House will also enact another executive action that will dismantle the Department of Labor's contributional fiduciary rule. I have no idea what that is. That critics argue would upend the retirement account advisory business. The fiduciary rule requires retirement advisors to act in the best interest of their clients. The new executive order will ask the Labor Department to revise and revoke the fiduciary rule. I have no idea what's going on with that. I'm not an expert. So anyway, that's what's going on, Dodd-Frank. So they're working on that. Apparently, they say Milo's security coordinator said that Berkeley police had a no arrest policy. I heard that in all of that violence, and I mean people on the ground being beaten in the head with metal poles by these people in masks, and there was one arrest in the entire thing.
I can't believe it. There was so much destruction of property too. But this whole service, Secret Service thing, I woke up and the first thing I saw this morning is that 2 Secret Service at the managerial level were fired overnight. Did you guys see that?
Really? I wonder why.
No. They were escorted off the premises in the EEOC building, which is across from the White House. 2 Secret Service at the manager level were let go abruptly. And I heard the reason was, remember the woman from Denver, the Secret Service, a woman who last week said she would not take, on social media, said she would not take a bullet for Donald Trump. Remember that?
Yeah.
And we thought, man, that should be immediate grounds for being fired. Well, evidently she has not been fired yet, and they found out who was dragging their feet on it.
Oh, really?
But here's the thing. Something's fishy about this. This is women's intuition. This is just my opinion. When I heard that woman posted that on social media, I mean, and you can say, oh, yeah, she's probably a liberal. Oh, yeah, that sounds stupid. Something didn't sit right with me about that. Something that I thought, why would she sabotage her own career like that? My question is, what if that was a plant in order to root out these corrupt Secret Service at the managerial level. They also think this might be where some of this leaking of phone calls is coming from.
Right.
I don't know. Just questions.
Trump is draining the swamp. Trump is draining the swamp. I can't talk to you. It's been a long week.
He is.
That was a long interview.
Well,
Trump's up.
She might have been a little bait in the whole scheme there. I don't know.
Yep. They have a saying on Reddit that they use. It says Trump is a master of 5D chess because he's always ahead of the game. So it's just absolutely amazing, and I wouldn't surprise me at all if he was that ahead of the game, Carrie.
Yeah.
Well, and another thing, and I apologize, I read this 3 times trying to kind of get a handle on it, but evidently on January the 20th, one of the things Donald Trump did, he had a stack of things he was signing on January 20th, and one of the things he did was he filed with the FEC as a candidate for 2020. Did you guys hear about that?
Oh, Trump did?
No.
And yes, he did. He filed. He's now a candidate for 2020, and evidently, what that does is it keeps 501c3s from using political speech against him until the next 4 years. For the next 4 years.
Oh, that's smart.
So, yeah. So I don't know all the ins and outs of that, but that's what I've read. It was at Zero Hedge. So
Zero Hedge has got some good stuff on there.
Yeah. Yep.
Good in-depth reporting. Very good. Well, did you hear that Khizr Khan, remember that guy from the DNC? Khizr Khan, on Trump's immigration order, and he was talking to students, and he warned that Trump's side will incite violence so they can use force on resistance. In other words, like in Berkeley, that wasn't a bunch of crazed anarchists committing violence. That was Trump supporters inciting peaceful students to violence.
That is malarkey.
It's just insane.
Yeah, so the girl with the Make America Great Again hat that got pepper sprayed, that all fits into that?
Yeah, it's just she's just standing there,
she's a
I tell you, well, you got to be a pretty bold person to wear some Trump bling to something like that.
Man, those people are heroes to me. They're they're sitting there talking, being reported. There's people with fireworks behind them, and they're standing there talking with their hats on. I'm like, you guys wrong. I'm
just waiting for a group of MMA fighters to go in there with their Trump hats on, and they're like, bring it.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't mean to encourage violence, but man, some of these people, it's just. And then when the police are told to stand down, I guess, at least that's the rumor that we heard here. Let me read what this says. It says, Breitbart senior editor Milo appeared alongside his tour security coordinator, Tej Gill, on Breitbart News Daily, hosted by Breitbart editor-in-chief Alex Marlow today, to discuss the riots in UC Berkeley. Let's heat up Tej's mic, said Marlow, introducing Gill. We've got Tej Gill here on the studio, blah, blah, blah. Okay, where does he said? Okay, I want to get your thoughts on all this and what kind of environment does this create? I can't get to the gist of this. But it's somewhere, it's a long article, it's in there somewhere. I don't want to read the whole thing for everybody, but, apparently he was indicating, and I don't know whether this is true or not, that the Berkeley police had a no arrest policy. I mean, how can you do something like that? Can you imagine if this was a liberal up there speaking in favor of socialism, and that you had a bunch of KKK people show up and they were trying to attack them? Can you imagine the Berkeley police have a no arrest policy? I mean, this is crazy. It
reminds me of San Jose. Remember the San Jose thing where there was a no stand down order for that too, and we had a big Trump rally in San Jose, and the mayor of San Jose gave the stand down order. And there were videos of people like in Trump hats running and people chasing them and tackling them to the ground. That was the riot where that woman, they made them walk. People were coming out of this rally. They made them walk through a gauntlet of people. And that woman got that egg in the face from like 2 feet away. I mean, just really, really nasty stuff. And this is the kind of stuff. California better be really careful. Mm-hmm. They take $930 billion a year in federal dollars. You guys, Trump holds all the leverage with you all. And same with you universities. Trump is like a dad, and he's going to say to California, you want me to pull this car over? You guys are acting up, and you better shape up really, really quick, or you're not going to get your federal dollars. They better watch out.
Well,
he's got all of the leverage.
I was going to say, what about the Los Angeles School District when they said that they were going to continue to educate illegal immigrants, and basically the Trump administration said, well, you'll do it without federal funding. So I think that's exactly what they need.
That's exactly what they need.
Well, if California ever secedes, they should just change their name to Venezuela 2.0, because that's basically what they'll turn on into.
And I'm not sending them any toilet paper.
No, absolutely.
I'd like to know what they're going to do about their water problem if they do decide to leave. So,
yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. Well, did you hear that the media has got a new poll out saying whether Trump should be impeached or not? This is public policy polling. They found that 40% of registered voters want to see Trump impeached. One small problem with the poll: they wildly oversampled Democrats. How unusual!
No,
what a new idea! Now, after public policy polling just completely blew the entire election, you would think, well, we learned a lesson. We need to stop oversampling Democrats. Oh no, we're going to make it a bigger oversample than before. In this poll, there are 41% Democrats and 30% Republicans. Poor Republicans. They took control of every branch of government with only 30% of voters. Man, can we turn out or what? You know, it's just so.
We won the election with only 24%, Bill. You know, so
an 11% advantage to Democrats. They simply do not learn. It's amazing. What do you think, Ginger? When you see crazy polls like this, what do you think? I mean, it just make you shake your head.
I think there's about 7 people in a room somewhere who think that they know what's going on because they're talking to these idiots who are out protesting. Like, that's where they're getting their samples from. It's so silly. The people that I meet on a daily basis, so very few of them are, and I'm in a blue state, I'm in Illinois, so very few of them are against what Trump is doing, and I'm hearing and feeling so much more positivity about what is happening in the country. And I think that people are starting to see the potential for this to become very prosperous, and they want a part of it.
Yeah.
So where they're getting these poll numbers from, who cares? They had, him give out a 1.28% chance of winning the day before the election. Wasn't that Huffington Post? I don't remember. Yeah. But we have an enormous opportunity here to illustrate just how bad and how wrong they are. And that's exactly what we're doing here with the new media.
Right.
We're telling the truth, presenting it to people. They're stumbling across us and finding out where they can get reliable information, because the more that they push these stupid polls that do not reflect anything even remotely close to reality, the more credible we are.
Yep.
Yeah,
keep doing it,
true.
please.
It's true.
And the more real world results that are out there.
Yeah.
I mean, most Americans right now feel like the country's headed in the right direction.
Yeah.
And the more we keep going in the right direction, the more results we see. We're going to look at the Democrats and go, what exactly were you resisting again?
Yeah.
I don't think there's that many, though. There are these groups of paid protesters, and there are maybe a few radicals, but people who are actually in support of this or are thinking that this is a really terrible thing, I think that number is much smaller than what even we are led to believe. And I think Ash could probably speak to this. So many of the interactions that we have online with people are not with real people. I think there was a lot of that going on the Donald.
Yeah.
Well, 100%. We see CTR, in large numbers. And I would agree with you. I think it's a small portion of the population, but I think it's amplified by the dishonest media. It's just another example of fake news. And like you said, the new media has risen. People are speaking out against it because it's obviously false. Everybody saw how false these polls were. Even the morons over at the Young Turks on election night were admitting that the polls were completely fabricated. And that's the way that is.
Right.
Yeah. Ash, just so that I'm clear, CTR is correct the record?
It is correct the record. Yes, it is.
Okay. And that was Hillary.
Just number one of those paid provocateurs that she was referring to. That is essentially what they are. And it's funny, online on a website like the Donald, you can see how they have like different waves, and we always make the joke, they must be clocking in because it's not real protest. Because it's predictable.
During the election cycle, I would actually test various triggering tweets and test various things to wait for the swarm. The CT. Now, I always thought the CTR stood for crap the room. No. It's correct the record. Yeah, I just assumed that's what I meant.
It did the day after election, Bill.
Yeah, yeah. It's just it's so. But anyway, I would tweet something, and then all of a sudden there were the hordes. I mean, my Twitter feed. I don't have the live Twitter feed of everything that's hitting my thing because it's just like a 60 frame per second movie. I couldn't even read it. But so I just have a column for just mentions, and I would say one of these trigger phrases, and it would instead of going like this, it would just, and they all said the same thing. Is this a parody account? Are you a robot?
Yeah.
All this stuff, the same thing over and over again. I'm just like, guys, come on. I mean, and George Soros is actually paying for this foolishness. What good did it do? It did nothing.
Yeah. It did nothing, and it made people mad. And let me tell you, it wasn't just politicians that have it. Hollywood celebrities have it. The Saturday after the election, I sent out a petition, linked to a petition to get Lady Gaga removed as the Super Bowl halftime entertainment and use the hashtag spirit cooking. There was photos of her eating off a dead, cannibalistic photos of her. And so I linked to a petition. I probably got 2,000 probably bots attacked me in a 24-hour period over that for Lady Gaga, fake Lady Gaga fan accounts.
What scared me most during the election cycle was the concern trolling over at the Donald. That's really terrifying because they'll take, what we're saying in our psyche and twist it just enough to get you to start thinking in a different direction.
Right.
And I think most of us, once we were in there for a little while, we could kind of figure out, this guy, whatever. And we could figure out their narrative and what they were doing. But you have to be pretty smart and pretty on top of things to be able to see through that. That was terrifying to me.
Yeah, let me define what you mean
moderator, we experienced that a lot. I mean, that was the number one weapon they used against us. And, you have to kind of get an eye for it because they'll try different tactics and different forms of concern trolling. It's probably their most prevalent weapon.
Let me explain to everybody.
There's some people over at a Treehouse where you can spot it so quickly over there because everyone's so positive. But there's this one poster named Martin, and every time somebody would concern troll, he would say, "Thank you for your concern."
Love it.
Let me explain to everybody in the audience who doesn't know what concern trolling is. Concern trolling is when your enemy comes to you pretending like they're your friend and giving you advice on how to save yourself. Oh, you're screwing up. You need to do this and this to save yourself. When you know their goal is to destroy you. So that's why they're pretending to be concerned. That's what concern trolling is. And this happened a lot in our Twitter feed where people would call themselves deplorable something, so we'll think they were on their team, but they weren't, and they're just like, wow, Trump said this and I'm really concerned and now I'm really doubting how I feel about him. I'm like, dude, you're a concern troll.
Yeah.
You're not a real supporter. And then you go and you look at their Twitter feed and they have all this crap about Trump on there, So if you doubt somebody, go back and read back at they say, oh, I'm a huge Trump supporter. Go back and read their Twitter feed. You can do that and see what they've said in the past, and you'll find out that they're not. And typically, if somebody, also this late in the game, if somebody wasn't a Trump supporter throughout this entire campaign and all of a sudden they're on Twitter now and they've got 80 followers and 30,000 tweets and they're saying, I'm a big Trump supporter. No, you're not. Where were you you have 80 followers? I mean, just literally existing on Twitter for a year and a half, you're going to have a lot more than 80 followers. So those are the eggs. Those are the concern trolls. So and don't argue with them. It's a waste of time. Nobody sees it anyway. So why bother, right?
Yeah, it doesn't.
So the last thing we got here is that apparently Trump's new immigration ban has blocked 100,000 visas already from those countries. I just had no idea that many people were coming in from, let's see, we got Iran, Iraq, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, Syria, and Yemen. And it's not just necessarily the people from these countries are bad people. One of the parts of this is their governments are in such horrible shapes in this country. They keep no records or track of anybody. They're literally, it's not that we're saying all these people are evil. It's like we have no way to prove it one way or the other. They are unvettable. And that's what Trump is trying to do. He's trying to, turn off the water so the pipe stops gushing long enough for us to figure out how to fix the pipe. It's just a pause. It's not forever. Some of these countries, maybe it should be forever, but it's not. Go ahead, Carrie.
Well, and we need to stop equating this mass migration with humanitarian causes. People are getting hurt. by this. We heard about children coming up through Central America, through Mexico, not making it across the border. We have found 18-wheelers full of dead bodies, people that didn't make it, coyotes charging too much, kids getting sold into the human trafficking business. But I read an article today, it was actually a couple years old, surprised me. People that are coming up through northern Africa trying to get across the Mediterranean Ocean into Italy and some of these other countries, if they don't have enough money to cross the Mediterranean, some of these people are getting not only sold into human trafficking, they're getting sold to organ harvesters. We need to these people are not safe. We think we're helping, and the Germans are like, welcome refugees, come to us. These people are getting hurt along the way. It is not a humanitarian thing to ask them to leave their homelands and to risk all these human smugglers and coyotes and all these other kind of things. This is putting children. Where are the children, by the way? Where are the young women? You never see them. It's the
young
men.
Guys. They're all young fighting age guys.
Right, but what happened to these young girls and these children? They're gone. Have they been sold? Like, where are they?
Who knows?
This is not helpful.
No, it's not.
If you really care about these people, they need to be helped where they are.
Yeah, amazing. Well, folks, once again, fastest hour in radio, Your Voice Radio. This is our 5th show on RSBN. We really enjoy being here. I think it's a great platform. And if you do enjoy the show, please tell your friends and come back and visit us. We're basically, we've been talking about whether to keep doing our Sunday night roundtable or move that to Friday night. I'm leaning towards moving that to Friday night and just having the 5 days. One reason is because I'm only human and I get tired. And 6 days of doing the show in a row, we may make it look easy, but it's actually hard to do this. And so we may just go to 5 days. And I know that RSBN wants us on a Monday through Friday basis. And if we do that, then we will keep the roundtable like it has tonight, but we'll just do it on Friday nights instead of a Sunday. And that means we will not be on this Sunday. For one thing, whether you want to boycott the NFL or not, a lot of people are going to watch that game on Sunday. So, I don't want to look down and see we had 2 viewers and think, oh no, what happened? Oh yeah, major worldwide event was taking place. So, but Ginger, how can people follow you on Twitter?
At Ginger McQueen or at Beltway Times.
At Beltway Times, and she writes for Beltway Times. Very good writer. This is relatively new for her, but she's really good at it. Really good articles, so definitely check those out. Carrie Kellerman, how can people follow you?
At Kellerman Carey, KELEMENCARI.
Very good. And Ash, how can people follow you, and where can they find you on Reddit?
They can follow me on Twitter at RS Ash ASHE _the _Don, and they can find us on Reddit at _Donald. And we hope to see everybody there.
Fantastic. And once again, you can follow me at Mitchell VII. You can listen to the show on rsbn.tv at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, or you can check out our audio-only version at www.spreaker.com/user/Mitchell VII. Both of these are about equally popular. I think right now we have more listeners on Spreaker, but hopefully we'll get more and more listeners here on RSBN as well. You can also check out our website, www.yourvoiceradio.com. And if you enjoy the show and you want to support us financially, and people have been unbelievably generous with that, there's a little donate button there, and you can donate there. And it is a secure site, so if you want to use your credit card or whatever, you can feel comfortable that nobody sitting in a garage with a scanner is going to grab your numbers, because it is a secured site. So anyway, that's it. Thank you for joining us for this week. We'll be back next Monday night. We've got a lot of great guests on the docket. I've got some big name, kind of famous people that are going to be coming up. And I think you're going to enjoy all those. So it's going to be a great shows next week. Anyway, team, thanks for being with me this week. You guys have been fantastic.
Thank you, Bill.
And let's go ahead and listen to some Scott Isbell play us out. I'm trying to have Scott Isbell. There we go. There you are, Scott. And technical problems here. Here we go. Scott Isbell. All right, here we go.
I would build a great wall, and nobody builds walls better than me, believe me. Nobody would be tougher on ISIS than Donald Trump. But if I get elected president, I will bring it back bigger and better and stronger than ever before, and we will make America
Good night, folks. We'll see you on Monday.
Good night.